Diana Douglas, Dina Norwegian, Diana Douglas Willard Diao Norwegian, Sanu Ga, Hunu Di Kiangalis Gustu Di Kolagan, Ketchikan Studnijin. What I just told you was my grandmother's name is Georgiana Douglas, my mother's name is Diana Douglas Willard, my Haida name is Sanu Ga. I'm half Haida and half Tlingit from Ketchikan, Alaska, and I'm from the Raven Land.
I'm Diana Douglas Willard, and I'm Haida. I grew up in Bellingham, Washington, and currently reside in Ketchikan. And I'm a weaver. I weave baskets. I do chilkat weaving and raven's tail weaving. And I've been weaving for 27 years now. Well, what I brought with me are mainly baskets. And this is one of my contemporary type baskets because, it's a traditional style, but what makes it contemporary is the design work that I put on there. And that's a raven's tail design, which is a traditional design, but I used a contemporary material, wax linen, and it was raven's tail were the chief's robes from long ago that the chiefs of high esteem wore, and not very many robes are in existence anymore because I think they were like cremated with their robes. And then after the raven's tail robes, then they started weaving the chilkat robes. Well, the raven's tail were woven out of mountain goat. What I work with, what I have here is a cedar bark basket. So it's yellow cedar bark and red cedar bark and wax linen. So most of what you see is the yellow cedar, but the bones of the basket, you can see the trim of the red cedar. And on this basket lid that I'm working on, you can see the red cedar hanging down, and then the yellow cedar weavers that I weave with. And they're rattle top baskets, so when you shake the lid, you can hear the rattle in the lid.
Not very many Haidas are, reaching out with their weavings right now. It's really hard to say because there's a lot that are in British Columbia and the Queen Charlotte Islands where the Haidas are from. There's also a lot in Prince of Wales Island where the Kaigani Haida migrated to. Maybe about a dozen that are going, around to markets and stuff like we are.
I actually moved to Ketchikan to take classes from Dolores Churchill, and she's one of the, we're very fortunate to have Dolores Churchill. She teaches through the University of Alaska Southeast in the Totem Heritage Center in Ketchikan, and she still teaches. I'm hoping to take another class from her next month. In 2 weeks I'm going to take a class from her daughter Evelyn Churchill on the raven's tail weaving, and she learned from her mother. She traveled with her mother, and they were probably one of the last ones that kept the weaving for the Haidas, around. I actually had weavers in my family. My great aunt was a weaver, a really, really fine Haida weaver, but it skipped a generation, so my mother ended up in boarding school and never learned how to weave. So even though she, talks about, not weaving, she likes to do stuff in the kitchen, so, she always thinks that the talent left her, but she just never had a chance to grow the talent of weaving.
I've been weaving for about a year and a half now, but I've been surrounded by it my entire life. So picking it up to me was about second nature. My mom didn't need much guidance when I started picking up weaving. What I do is I make traditional cedar bark hats out of red and yellow cedar bark. The hat is a traditional to our area because we're from the rain country. Rain hats are very important. And when I make them out of red and yellow cedar bark, the hardest part about this is gathering the cedar, because when we gather it, we can't gather it close to the beach. We have to go where it's not windy, and we have to go where there's not very much sunlight, and the tree that we gather from can't have been gathered from before. There's only about a time period of maybe anywhere from a week to a month where the cedar is harvestable, and then after that it takes countless hours and hours of preparation and splitting and soaking to make the materials fine for weaving. I know in British Columbia the beetles have been doing quite a number on their forests over there because of the clear cutting. Luckily the beetles have, we've escaped that infestation so far, so it doesn't really look like it yet, but you never know. I'm not really sure how to answer that one because I just only recently started making and selling hats. But I know like a lot of my mom's larger baskets, it's more harder to sell the larger ones than it is to sell the smaller ones. People are still purchasing them, but they're not, they're kind of weary to do the big investment that there is. Even though with art there's a larger turner, it's a better investment to invest in artwork than it is gold nowadays because the price value increases so much, so rapidly.
And this is your first herd show?
It is, and my very first Indian market ever. it.